Hello, this is chapter 78 of the original book called The Flower of Freedom by Deborah J. Reeves. All rights to both the book and presentation are completely reserved. I hope you can find your seat and know where it is. I'm glad you left your burdens outside. This is only going to take less than 10 minutes. It's a little respite in your busy day. Here we go. Chapter 78, Bertie's Back. When Marie and Aki reported back to the seated group who were waiting at the end of the corridor, they all started to laugh. The nurse behind the desk harumphed and told them that no one was permitted to see Bertie again for an entire hour, so perhaps they would enjoy the hospital cafeteria for their discussion. Her polite, no-nonsense demeanor convinced them that they were very nicely being evicted, so they asked for directions to the cafeteria. As they waited for the elevator, Aki used his rusty German to ask the nurse to redirect his friend Herr Bosk to the cafeteria to join them. She said that she would call administration to redirect him and save him a trip. She picked up the phone just as they all boarded the elevator. Everyone enjoyed hearing what Bertie had said all over again when Helmut Bosk joined them at their table 10 minutes later. Administration called up to the desk and spoke to the charge nurse. Bertie was now authorized to make long-distance calls to Canada. The nurse went into his room to tell him, and Bertie held up his hands again, and he asked her if she would help him dial the phone. "My parents will be worried by now," he said. "I try to call them every night, and even though they do not know about the accident, I know that they'll know something's up. They'll be getting up soon, so I want to get to them and set the record straight." She dialed the numbers, so many numbers, and she put the phone gently into his right hand, and he gripped it around the splint. She quietly left the room as Bertie said, "Hello, Papa. I'm sorry to call so early. I hope I didn't wake Mama." Bertie, I'm sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. Your mother isn't here. She needed a minor procedure for quite some time, so she scheduled it for while you were away on your trip. She didn't want you to worry. Dr. D is sorting out some lady problems, and she needed to stay overnight at the hospital, so she's not here to speak with you. Is everything A-okay? How was the game? Everything's fine, Papa. The game was a little rougher than I'm used to, but all's well that ends well. Okay, Papa, they're calling me. I have to go. I'll call you again soon, okay? Bertie counted the minutes until the next visitors were allowed, and he was relieved to see that it was Aki and Marie who stepped through the door. "I called home. Did you know that Mama was going in for a procedure?" he asked Marie with accusation in his voice. Aki spoke up. "No one knew until Oscar told me when I asked for your hockey equipment. He said she didn't want anyone to know and that it was private and minor. I only told Marie about it a few minutes ago when she was distraught because we had not informed your parents about what happened to you. Did you tell your father what happened?" "No. He sounded so worried about Mama that I told him that the game was a bit rougher than I was used to. I could tell by his voice that he was worried." "What? Bertie, you should never lie to Papa. He needs to know the truth," lamented Marie. Bertie looked stung. Aki took note of his expression and said, "I'll tell Oscar later. I'll fill him in. Now that he's heard your voice, your condition won't be such a worry. Maybe it's time that we all stop trying to protect one another and just laid the facts out onto the table," he concluded. Soon the nurses escorted them back out of Bertie's room. On the way down the corridor, Marie said to Aki, "Some of the facts or all of the facts?" He took her point. He went downstairs with Helmut and he called Oscar. When the visiting minutes came around next, Marie and Michaud entered the room. The nurse closed the door behind them and set the timer. Marie looked eager and excited, and Michaud looked like someone had just run over his dog. "Didn't you get my message?" Bertie said to him. "Only one of us is permitted to be a wreck at any given time, and Buddy, this is my turn. Get in line. I'm the wreck in need of service right now." A little spark of light showed in Michaud's eyes. Bertie was back. Bertie told Marie that he had called her parents again. "Mama's home now. Papa just brought her in. I had to tell them not to fly over. They were insistent. Please call and reinforce that. What good would it do? It would cost them a lot of money and days from work to come and sit in a cafeteria and see me 10 minutes an hour. Honestly, Marie, if they come, they would be in worse shape than Michaud is, and who needs that?" He grinned at Michaud, who was already looking a bit better. Michaud had swiped a jelly cup from the tray next to Bertie's bed, and he was eating it with a spoon. Marie looked at his odd behavior and thought, "He's stressed." "Truthfully, Marie, if they come, I won't be able to see anyone else. They will need every 10-minute interval, so Mama will be able to convince herself that I'm not dead. You know what a worrywart she is. Papa will have to accompany her to be sure she won't collapse. It would be a disaster. Get Uncle Aki to call." "Do you want me to call?" asked Michaud. Marie and Bertie's heads swiveled in unison. "No," they said in a firm voice. Michaud ate more jelly. When the bell dinged in the hallway, the nurse opened the door and escorted them out. "Bring food," he said as the door closed, and the nurse just shook her head. Bertie soon became every nurse's favorite patient. Even the warrior queen on the front desk, as they called her, stopped scowling at them when the elevator opened, and they were nearly certain that she was turning a blind eye when they brought in food for Bertie. That's the end of chapter 78. The next chapter is called Reorientation. Here for that. This is your friend Deborah, wishing you a wonderful day.